I can't believe that autumn is almost 2 weeks in. With that being said, find out what fragrances that I picked to wear this autumn right after this, so stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. And like I said, autumn is here and we're almost 2 weeks in. And with that being said, though we are in the autumn season, it still has some warm temperatures that we are going through right now until it starts to cool down. Okay, so I still think it's a good time to be wearing fresh fragrances, some that are not so heavy, not so spicy, or not so sweet, because I feel like we reserve those fragrances whenever it does start to cool down, especially for late fall as well as late winter. Okay, now with that being said, I would like to go ahead and get into these fragrances that I have put together for this list that I think are on the more fresher side, but yet they have a nice fall air to them. Some of them have some spiciness, some of them has a little bit of sweetness, but still they have that freshness to it that I guess really dances well with the warmer weather. You know what I mean? So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this first fragrance. All right. So the first fragrance on this list is from the house of Valentino. It's Valentino Uomo, Born in Roma, Yellow Dream. This fragrance is bright and uplifting. It's a modern take on classic Italian scents, and it's great for day and evening wear. Main notes are grapefruit, ginger, as well as vanilla. Surprisingly, this fragrance has a gingerbread note in it, but it does work with this fragrance, okay? Though it does have a gingerbread bready note to this fragrance, it does still lean on the air of freshy fragrances, okay? It has a nice spiciness from it with the spices in here, and it has the fruitiness coming from the pineapple as well as the mandarin orange up top. We have the vanilla absolute down the base that's going to give it that nice vanillic undertone, but honestly, I think this is a great fragrance for if you're going to for fall festivities or activities such as where I'm from. We have Harvest Homecoming. There's a lot of booths that has like pumpkin rolls, the big turkey legs, corn on the cobs, all these different foods that exude the feeling of fall, and a lot of booths that a lot of different entrepreneurs have set up so that you can take a look as you grab a bite to eat. Whether you grab some pumpkin ice cream or some chicken and dumplings or again, a nice hefty turkey leg. This fragrance is what I'm going to wear to Harvest Homecoming in the next couple weeks, all right? Again, from the house of Valentino is Born in Roma, Yellow Dream. This fragrance was released as a 2024 version. We're seeing a lot of these fragrances being released as a 2024 version. I guess, there are different trends that a lot of fragrance companies like to, flow with, as well as, us YouTubers. But I will say that I've grown to like this fragrance the more I wear it, but I still do prefer the original version that came out. And the fragrance that I'm talking about is from the house of Prada. It's Prada Luna Rosa Sport 2024. I will say when it comes to the bottle design, I really do dig this a lot more than the original bottle design. I have the original right here, and this is the 2024 version. But I will say it doesn't have the juniper berries as well as the ginger opening that the original version has. This one focuses more on the tonka bean as well as the vanilla, and you do get that freshness from the lavender. The main characteristics of this fragrance is sporty, it's energetic, it's fresh yet warm, as well as being ideal for active and casual outings. And this is another fragrance that I could see myself wearing to something like Harvest Homecoming or anything of that nature. Somewhere where you're going to be out and about and being a little bit more active, as I mentioned earlier. Now, I will say if you have the original version, you don't really maybe need the 2024 version. But if you are a collector and you want to get your hands on this and you like the way that this bottle looks, then knock yourself out, all right? I will leave a link in the description for all of these fragrances, all right? As far as the notes in here, we have lavender, we have amber, as well as red ginger, all right? Now, it's nice and spicy, nice and fresh, and it gets the job done whenever you're wanting a sporty yet energetic fragrance. So again, from the house of Prada, that's Luna Rosa Sport 2024. Next up, I sworn that the EDP was the only way to go, even though I only tried a sample of the Parfum years prior to me owning the EDP. and not trying to EDT. Honestly, once I got my nose on the Parfum again, I quickly changed my mind because this fragrance is amazing. It smells great, and honestly, I think that this leans more towards the fall as well as winter wear if you're wanting a blue fragrance to wear during the fall and winter. And the fragrance I'm talking about from the house of Chanel is Bleu de Chanel Parfum. Sophisticated and timeless, it's good for both formal and casual events. Honestly, it's modern masculine elegance. The main notes, we got lemon zest, pineapple, mint, cedarwood, as well as sandalwood, and a little bit of ambery notes in here as well. Again, I think this fragrance is amazing for the fall time. It has a little bit more density to it, so it'll be able to handle those much cooler nights, but it still leans on the side of it being a freshy fragrance, okay? It does still have that blue shower gel DNA to it. After all, it is a Bleu de Chanel fragrance, all right? I love the way this smells. As you can tell, I'm putting a decent dent in here. I'm having to pace myself because this is not a cheap bottle and I don't want to move through this any faster than I have to, okay? So again, from the house of Chanel, that's Bleu de Chanel Parfum. Next up, I think this is turned into my second favorite flanker out of the whole entire line. And I think out of the whole line, there's probably 7 to 8 different flankers out of this line. And I think this is great all year around. Like, whether you're wanting to wear this during the day or the night, to work, to hang out with the friends, whatever the case may be, I think this is a great fragrance. So from the house of Yves Saint Laurent, this Eau de Parfum Intense. This is a youthful and vibrant fragrance. It's a good day to night transitional fragrance, as well as it has an intensely aromatic yet fresh scent profile. Main notes in this fragrance is bergamot, sage, as well as tonka bean. Again, this is another great blue fragrance that you can wear day and night. If you work in an office, this will be a great office scent. If you work in a facility like I do where it's an open space, this is great for that too, because this fragrance does like to project. It projects a little bit further than arm's reach, and it lasts quite a while. I would say at least 7 to 8 hours if you're looking for a fragrance with some great longevity, okay? This is again, great blue fragrance. Again, this is my second favorite flanker out of the line. My first is the Le Parfum, which I would deem that more of a great nighttime fragrance, okay? I think that would be great for date nights. I think that would be great for nighttime formal wear, okay? So from the house of Yves Saint Laurent, that's EDP Intense. So now we're about to step into the niche category. This next fragrance on this list is a compliment magnet. No matter when I wear this, no matter who I'm around, when I'm wearing this fragrance, somebody is going to compliment me on this fragrance. And I love this fragrance. I gotta say, like, compliments aside, I love the way this smells. It's well-rounded. It has a nice density to it, and yet it has a nice freshness to it. Has some maturity to it as well, if you ask me. So from the house of Manera, that's Amber Fever. This fragrance is rich and warm with sweetness and invokes fall vibes, as well as having a unisex appeal. Amber, whiskey, and caramel are its main notes. Again, I get compliments on this fragrance every single time I wear this. I think this will be a great nighttime fragrance if you're going to a bar or if you're going to hang out with some buddies and you're going to grab a couple drinks. Again, it has that nice whiskey note in here, and it has a caramel note that works well and balances that whiskey note in here. I do love the way this smells. I think it does exude a little bit of a sophisticated air to it. A lot of people will love this fragrance, and a lot of people will be asking you what you're wearing when you put on some Amber Fever. So again, from the house of Manera, that's Amber Fever. Check this out, guys. It's a great one. Next up is a bluish type fragrance. I wore this to a wedding and I thought it fit perfectly well. I think this will be a great fragrance for the office if you work in the office. And I think this fragrance would be great for other occasions such as weddings, as well as maybe going on a date and other formal events. So from the house of Narciso Rodriguez, that's Bleu Noir for him. This is an elegant and modern, fresh fragrance with a hint of depth to it. It's great for daily wear. Its main notes is cardamom, nutmeg, and cedarwood. Again, I wore this fragrance to a wedding and I felt like I crushed it. It's soft. It even has some powderiness from the iris in here as well. It's soft and seductive yet masculine, okay? It's not overly aggressive, and it's not going to be in your face punching everybody in the nose, telling them to smell you at once. You know what I mean? Some of those fragrances can get a little overwhelming at times, but this one here, again, is soft and sensual. I do like this fragrance, and I do urge you all to check this out. Maybe sample it first, because it may not be for everybody, especially if you're not a fan of iris or unfamiliar with the note of iris, all right? From the house of Narciso Rodriguez, it's Blue Noir for him. And I really love the deep blue coloration of this bottle. Next up, I feel like this fragrance doesn't get enough praisal. I think this fragrance is excellent at what it does, especially being the versatile fragrance that it is. It's from the house of Giorgio Armani. It's an Acqua di Gio fragrance, and the fragrance that I'm talking about is Acqua di Gio Absolute. Now, I got the big boy bottle. You can see how much of a dent I put in this, and I will stand behind this fragrance and saying that I think it is a versatile fragrance through and through, okay? I think you can wear this to the office. If you work in the office, again, I work at a facility, so it's going to do well because it has really nice projection. It's nice, fruity, and woody. And honestly, I think it's just something about this fragrance that has a nice fall air to it. You know, it might be the rich woodiness coming from this fragrance, but I will stand behind this fragrance and saying that I think this is an excellent flanker from the Acqua di Gio line. I mean, the proof is in the juice levels, man. I mean, look at this bad boy. I picked this fragrance because it has some fresh yet warm marine notes in this fragrance. I think it's ideal for a casual day out. The main notes being bergamot, patchouli, as well as amberwood. Again, I feel like this fragrance does not get enough praisal. I mean, there's so many different flankers from this line that we hear about, and I think that this does not get enough credit, okay? Compliment City, and I promise you it's going to wear all day if you wanted to. Again, great for casual day out, and it's just warm and rich, and I think it really embraces fall fairly well. From the house of Giorgio Armani, that's Acqua di Gio Absolute. Next up, I have some fond memories with this fragrance. I wear it around this time of year every year since I've had it. And honestly, I've only gone through a 50 ml with that being the case. Like, I've gone through an entire 50 ml bottle, and I like it so much so that when I found out that it's being discontinued, I bought a 200 ml backup bottle. Yeah, I still haven't tapped into that bottle yet because I still have a little bit of juice left in this 50 ml. But again, I have fond memories with this fragrance because I wore it when my daughter was able to run around on Halloween, and it was the perfect Halloween day. Last year, it was super cold, but like we only went to a few houses, and my daughter wanted to call it quits, and we were ready to call it quits. But that year, it was perfect. It was nice and sunny, a few clouds in the sky, and I want to say that the temperature was in the mid 70s, and it dropped down to a little bit below 70, so it had a nice chill to it. I wore a sweater, and it was just perfect. So the fragrance I'm talking about is from the house of Ribon, or Paca Ribon, if you're familiar with the old school name. It's 1 Million Lucky. Again, I've gone through this entire 50 ml bottle. You can see the juice levels just barely hanging on there. Like a few squirts left. But man, oh man, I love this fragrance. Fresh from the ozonic notes, sweet from the honey in here, fruity from the plum in here, and it has a nice nuttiness from the hazelnut in here. I mean, as rich as those notes are, you would think that it has a much heavier scent profile, but I'm telling you, it is light and fresh as could be. Definitely on the sweet side, so if you're not a fan of sweet fragrances, I would tell you to lean on a side of caution, all right? But I will say that this is an amazing fragrance. Not the last time I wore this, but one time when I wore this, like this woman that I worked with, she came up and the first thing she said, like, "You always smell so good." But then she followed up by, "I'm not hitting on you or anything, but I mean, you just always smell good." And I understood, you know, that was a fair compliment, you know what I mean? So I took that. And like I said, I bought a 200 ml backup bottle. Look at the size of this thing compared to the 200 ml. Yeah, like I said, I was afraid of this bad boy being discontinued, but I found it at Macy's still available. So you should be able to pick it up because I will leave a link in the description if you're interested in this fragrance, all right? As well as the rest of this fragrances on this list, okay? So again, from the house of Paca Ribon or Ribon, depending on how you want to refer to it as now. 1 million, lucky. This is now the 200 ml bottle. This is really like a gold bar. I mean, you can club somebody with this bad boy. Next up on this list, this fragrance has become my top pick for date night scents. When my wife and I like to go out, when it's just her and I, this is the fragrance that I reach for because it makes me feel good. For lack of a better word, I feel amazing. It's warm, it's sweet, it's mature, has a little booziness. And the fragrance I'm talking about is Fan Your Flames from the house of Nichane. Now, you can see that I'm putting a nice little dent into this bad boy. And I think the coloration has darkened over time. I think I've had this for about a year or two. But yeah, I think the coloration is starting to darken when it comes to the juice in this fragrance. But man, it's just creative. Okay, beautiful fragrance, some Asian cedarwood in here, tonka bean, has coconut, has rum that gives it that nice booziness, and it also has tobacco in here. I mean, you got a lot going on, but it all just melts together just perfectly. It's a nice rich blend of notes that makes it a nice seductive scent. I wear it every date night because my wife actually compliments me on this fragrance. I got over 100 plus fragrances and this is what she compliments me on, for sure, okay? Now, I will say that this is for probably the more mature guy out there, okay? I gotta admit that I'm not the most mature every day, okay? But I will say that I feel like I can pull this off exceptionally well, all right? Now, if you have the confidence to pull this off, you can definitely pull it off. And if the notes in here sounds intriguing to you, I urge you to get a sample of this fragrance for sure, because honestly, this is one of the most creative fragrances that I have in my collection. I love the way this smells. The coconut in here is nice and creamy, has a nice smokiness, I think, coming from the Asian cedarwood. And again, that booziness from the rum in here just kind of lends itself with the coconut beautifully, all right? It is such a beautiful fragrance, okay, man? With the tobacco as well, like it just, to me, it's maturity in a bottle, man. I really think so, but I honestly think this is a seductive fragrance. You're not going to find too many people smelling like this. And if you do, they have a great nose on them, okay? Again, from the house of Nichane, that's Fan Your Flames. This is one of my favorite fragrances in my collection. I can tell you that right now. Last but not least, I got this fragrance about a year or two ago, give or take, and I really like the way this smells. I mean, this is Armani Co. introducing the note of iris in there, and I like that they've introduced that note of iris because over the year or so, I've grown to love iris more and more. Even the orris root that the iris comes from, I like when that is introduced into fragrances. And the fragrance that I'm talking about from the house of Armani is Armani Code Parfum. Now, if you're familiar with the new styles of the bottle, they're changing all the Armani Code fragrances to this new style bottle. And this one has the magnetic cap, and I got the 50 ml. And I feel like that's all you need with this being a parfum. And I can definitely smell the iris coming from the top or the atomizer. So as far as the main characteristics of this fragrance, it's sensual and sophisticated. It's deep warm with sweetness, and it's a great fragrance for evening events. It has a nice ozonic floral accord to it, which is where I feel like it lends its freshness to. I will wear this to work, no problem. I have worn this to work, no problem. And again, I think this is a good fresh fragrance that will work well in the fall. And I think it has enough density to it to where this can be considered a fall and wintertime scent, as well as an early spring scent as well. Definitely classy, definitely mature, and I know that a lot of people seem to love this fragrance, especially introducing iris in the Armani coat line, okay? This is definitely a great flanker, but it does freshen things up, especially with majority of the flankers being a little bit more heavier, sweeter, and spicier. You know what I mean? So from the house of Giorgio Armani, that's Armani Code Parfum. All right, guys, that's going to conclude my 10 fall fresh fragrances, man. I mean, again, we're still in the early stages of fall, the very early stages of fall. And I got to say, I've come around to fall a lot more than I have in the past because I wasn't too big of a fan of fall because I'm a big fan of summer, and fall meant that summer has ended. So that was pretty much like, you know, a death sentence for me. not really. But let me know in the comment section what fresh fragrances you have lined up for this fall, okay? Is it any one of these, or is it something that you can put on my radar, all right? And also, before I get out of here, I want to give a shout out to a subscriber of mine. He hit me up on my comment section about 2 months ago, and I just now saw his comment, and I apologize for just now seeing his comment, but I do appreciate his comment. I'm going to put it right up here so y'all can check it out. And again, I'm going to give this dude a shout out because that meant a lot to me. That comment meant a lot to me because I have been struggling with my subscribers, basically just trying to get my subscribers up there. I would like to get to 1,000. That is my goal for the time being, and I'm at 181. So yeah, if y'all can subscribe to this channel, if y'all like the content that you all seen, so we can get the subscribers up there, I would greatly appreciate it. And for you, Chili Cheese 2207, I will make you a certified lounger. So shout out to you, man. Appreciate the comment, appreciate the sub, and if y'all want to be shouted out, just make sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video, share it if you want to share it so other people out there can see what fragrances I have compiled for the fall. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I'm going to catch y'all in the next one, all right?